Welcome to episode 35 of The Leap Home. One Strobe Over the Line.
In this week's episode, Sam must help a young model escape the clutches of an agent who is plying her with amphetamines to maintain her energy and concentration during arduous shoots. When Sam learns the model is set to succumb to a fatal overdose in just a few days, he tries to force her to go cold turkey. But will his hardline approach prove successful? Or will her addiction prove a more complex problem than he expects?
Cranston is the name, and photography is the game.
Good evening, Ian. How are things?
Not too bad, Gerry.
What's the name?
Podcasting is the name.
Not quite as sexy.
Not in any way.
You said there in the introduction that the model had to keep out of the clutches of an agent. It's not the only clutches she has to keep out of in this episode.
I've got my initial note here: Sam assaults multiple women in this episode.
Yep. We're back to an episode of Quantum Creep, I think.
Yeah. No doubt there'll be people trying to justify his actions. Not us, though.
No, he certainly won't be. No. We'll take the opposite approach.
Indeed. Although, we can agree that drugs are bad in all circumstances, no matter what. It's
got that feel of a sort of public service announcement, or a public. You get these things, especially in the US shows, you know, like Saved by the Bell or some other show that's got an adolescent audience where they try to make the point about drugs bad.
Yes, take them once you die.
Just tablets, pills, take them. There's no specifics. Just
they mention what they are later on, and it's like pills that completely counteract one another. So what was the point?
I know. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, shall we talk about social media?
Okay, if you must.
Do you want to do it this week?
I don't even know. We're on something massive.
We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram at Leap Home Podcast, we're on Facebook at The Leap Home. TheLeapHome.com is where you'll find show notes for each and every episode. And if you want to hear our episodes 1 week early, you can go to the Columbo Podcast Productions YouTube channel, where we would encourage you to like and comment and ring the bell to be notified of every new episode when it comes out.
I'm not going to let you off with last week's Lively emission. Remember Blake Lively? Yeah. I made a slight mistake as well. I just forgot.
Okay.
But there's another Lively. There's Jason, who was in one of the National Lampoons, and also Night of the Creeps, which is a good movie.
Sam came in that.
I should have. Yes, I should have. His sister was in an episode of Night of the Creeps.
Did he?
Yeah.
Shall we talk some Quantum Leap?
Let's crack on.
As usual, we get the intro, and then briefly we revisit last week's tag. We see Sam, who's a photographer, on a shoot with a lion and some models, and he's dressed kind of flamboyantly, a bit sort of Siegfried and Roy, and he kind of lurches backwards when the lion nods its head in his general direction.
Yeah, you would do if you weren't expecting it.
I think you would. I think that's fair. A woman calls him Carl and says that lions don't eat photographers, although they have been known to nibble on slow ones.
Or a magician.
The lion nods towards him once again, and he falls back again, and we see another woman, I think one of the models looks in his direction a bit sympathetically, and we get an old boy from Sam, and then we get the credits, and we're back.
To the 15th of June 1965. Sam is helped to his feet in front of the lion and slouches off the busy set to catch a glimpse of his long-haired, roguish, raffish self in a mirror.
Yeah, I think the look fits the clothes.
It's still an improvement in last week, I would have thought.
For sure. A woman comes over and says to him that vanity is one thing, but self-obsession is positively boring.
She's quite a stylish blonde. Her name's Helen.
Indeed. Sam says that he was just checking the lights before falling over them.
Yeah. At this point, the primary model of the shoot, her name's Edie, is it?
Yes, Edie.
She asks if it's going to take long as her feet are killing her, and so Sam tells them all to take a break. So she walks off and is told she's doing a great job by a chap in a suit and glasses. He's quite a stylish guy for the time anyway.
Sunglasses, we should say.
Yes.
Yeah. His name's Byron.
Not Brian.
No. He says he doesn't know what's wrong with the model. Obviously, there's some issue. Yeah,
Edie, he's sort of quite two-faced here. He tells Edie she's doing great. She walks off, and then he says to Helen that, what's wrong with her, insisting that he's not going to be paying for any reshoots, and thinks that they should have went for Cheryl Teagues or Twiggy.
Yeah, so we should probably decode some of this, because when you first put the episode on, it's not entirely clear. Helen is the agent of Edie, who has put her forward for the shoot, and Byron is hiring her from Helen.
Yeah.
So when he talks about favours for old time's sake. Obviously, he maybe owes Helen a favour, so he's using her model rather than a different agency. But obviously, she's not performing and he's not happy.
No, and he's hiring her on behalf of a company.
Yes, he's kind of a middleman. Don't think he does anything except just take a cut.
Probably not.
Yeah, but also take the blame if it goes wrong.
Obviously. Now, did you get the reference to Cheryl Teagues or Twiggy?
I got the Twiggy reference.
Yeah.
Apparently, Twiggy didn't start modelling till the following year, but I suppose you could argue that's because she didn't get this job.
Okay, was it that she didn't start modelling, or was it that she wasn't big?
And that she didn't start modelling until 66, apparently.
Right, okay. Now, Cheryl Teagues, see, this is the thing, I'm not sure back in the 60s how big she would have been over here. Certainly Twiggy was a bigger name for us. However, I was aware of her, not for any of her modelling, but in the theme tune to The Fall Guy, Lee Majors, Colt Seavers, he sings about Cheryl Teagues. Now, when I was a kid, I had no idea who or what he was referring to.
So you looked up?
But I couldn't at the time. I had to wait for the internet to come around. And then when it did,
when you were much older,
I searched up and I went, oh, right, okay, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
Because in that song, he name drops a lot of sort of stars of the day.
Right. Our situation resolves when Helen has a dig back at Byron, saying that Edie was probably up late watching bad television commercials. Presumably he's known for making television commercials.
I'm sure. And she goes over to apparently give her a kick up the backside.
Yeah.
So, a mirror, a makeup mirror.
Yeah, she asks Edie what's wrong, but Edie says she's fine.
Well, I think she patronises her by claiming she looks like a tired country girl, which is what she is. She's certainly a country girl.
Helen says it's funny that she thinks she's fine because she's one step away from being replaced on the shoot.
Yeah, Byron apparently is one step away from firing her unless she starts to shine. And to help her do this, she pops some drugs into her hand.
Non-specific, massive pile of pills.
Take these drugs. But Edie, it tells her she can't take them anymore as she's not sleeping or eating, and basically she's being ruined by them. But
Helen points out that she doesn't care. She's being paid to look good and show up and be bright throughout the shoot. She's also worried, she says it herself, that they'll both be unemployed. So obviously her job or her reputation is on the line as well. And she promises her it's going to be the last time. Yeah. I mean, there's some sort of implication that maybe Edie owes Helen, I think. Because every time there's an issue, Helen's like, it's my career on the line as well.
Of course, I'd imagine it was Helen that discovered her, as it were.
So Edie's told to treat them like aspirin, and this will be the last time she's asked to take them. So she does.
Back at the set.
A wee bit later, I think.
Sam is trying to work out the camera. It's an upside down vision that he has.
Yeah, he thinks to himself that leaping is like photography. I don't think it is.
Well, he says that you capture a moment that has already happened, but you don't really. You're capturing a moment that is happening as...
when it happens, yeah.
Uh-huh. And feeling under pressure, he then tells the models to say cheese as the Supremes play in the background.
He gets one photo and then wraps up the shoot, which initially concerns Byron, but when he realises it's going to save him money, he's not quite so upset.
Well, that's that. I think Sam says you only need one shot. That's all you need, and obviously because of his reputation as a photographer, Byron accepts this.
Absolutely. Byron tells Sam he'll see him tomorrow, obviously in a different shoot.
And this, I think panics him a little bit, Sam.
Yeah. Edie asks him for a lift home, which he agrees to. I don't know, I presume they live nearby one another?
Well, I've got a couple of points about this. You can see that Helen is a bit annoyed or unsettled by this request. She's not particularly happy, and we find out later why. But here's the thing, this would not be normal for... A model wouldn't just ask.
No, the only thing I could figure out is maybe they live in the same building. They're in apartments. They both have his is maybe an expensive one.
When we hear them talking later on, they just find out things about each other as if they don't know.
Yeah, well, maybe don't know each other that well, but it could be either not in the same building or a nearby one. Maybe it makes sense for him to give her a lift if they're going to the same
Sure, but the way she says it's like, could you just give me a lift home? It's not been discussed before. How did she get there? Yeah. That should all have been planned out. It seemed a bit random.
Casual.
Because he might have said, no, not giving me a lift home.
I'm going to Helen's.
To do,
Which is what he was meant to be doing, apparently. Anyhow, Edie arrives home at her apartment with Sam in tow. Yeah,
it's quite a noisy apartment. I think we're meant to realise or work out that it's not the most salubrious of places. I think it's right beside a rail track in New York.
Probably not where Sam lives then, as a wealthy photographer.
Wouldn't have thought so.
She's got lots of cats, which she talks to as she comes in, and Sam says he prefers these little ones to the lion that they had earlier on.
He also forgets, he does his usual thing of forgetting who he is.
Yeah, he talks about growing up on a farm, and that's confusing to Edie because she grew up on a farm and he's told her already that he grew up in Queens.
Why does he keep doing this?
He doesn't even consider this person might have spoken to somebody before he leaps in. And he covers for it, saying that he has a cousin with a farm.
Yeah, she then pours some wine As an, I suppose, understandably agitated, Sam takes in the numerous cats jumping everywhere.
Yeah.
Although,
It's a bit like here when we're recording.
yeah, I'm not a big fan, as you know. But here's the thing, he just said that he had cats, he loved cats, he grew up in a farm, so animals around him shouldn't really be an issue.
Yeah, I mean, the lion, I suppose, is a different thing.
Yeah, but just now he seems uncomfortable.
Yeah, a little bit edgy. But I think he's just generally uncomfortable as well. He's not really sure where he is or what he's doing.
Yeah, well, he's not that uncomfortable as we come to find out.
Well, this is true. Edie tells him at this point she could afford a bigger or a better place, but she's saving up so that she can retire.
Also, she wants to send money back to the parents, the farm, so that her father can buy specialist farming equipment. And Sam then joins her in a chat about...
Well, he kind of blurts out about John Deere combine harvesters that he wouldn't know anything about.
Yeah.
Anyhow, she says she's going to send her sister to college, and Sam asks what she's going to get for herself, and she says she wants to retrain as a vet.
Which she thinks is a good idea, and seems sensible to me. She's an animal lover, and
Yeah, why not?
you can't do modelling forever.
They have a chat then about one of the cats in particular. I think
That
it's
cat, yeah,
called Wooster.
who seemed to leap in from nowhere, she says, and Sam can relate to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I was a bit meta.
Yeah.
That was good.
That was nice.
Although she talks, I liked the bit as well. She said she was fumbling for her keys and kind of fumbles her line at the same time.
Right. They both relate to having no friends or family where they are and not having a place to sort of...
Yeah, and she says that when Wooster appeared, she just had to take him into it. Sam replies, "Lucky guy."
Wow, what is he doing here? It's really...
It's a jump, isn't it?
It's a massive jump. He says it in a really creepy way, as if he's...
Yeah,
it's
so
not
keep it
just...
to himself. I'm just going to say it a little bit out loud.
Yeah, that's the thing. If he had just been obvious about it, made a joke, or even made it clear that he was trying on, it'd be like, oh, lucky guy. But it's like
someone in between.
he's looking down and just as if it's an internal thought that he's just blurted out here. Did I say that out loud? And that's worse.
He then embarrasses himself trying to cover his tail, which causes her to end up laughing at him.
Yeah, he is an awkward guy.
Yeah, very much. Evie kind of salvages the conversation by saying that everybody needs somebody to look out for them, and if it hadn't been for Helen, she could have ended up like Wooster.
Yeah, apparently Helen is a mother figure to her, and with little tact here. So she's mentioned her sister,
Yeah.
mentioned her father, did not mention a mother,
And Sam then picks up on that.
and says, "Oh, what are you going to buy your mother, a dishwasher?"
And also, how does he know that... how does he know that she's not already told him this? That she's what she's about to tell him?
I don't get the feeling that they have had any of these discussions before.
Yeah, well, fair enough.
But
Well,
still,
she knows he's from Queens, so they've had some kind of conversation.
yeah, but I mean, would you not be able to tell that by even his accent?
Yeah, maybe. Anyway, yes, like you say, she didn't mention her mother, so he brings it up and she says, no, she's dead.
I mean, it's fairly obvious.
That kills the conversation, literally stone dead. And there's an awkward couple of ums and ahs before she kicks him out.
Yeah, she decides it's time for him to leave, but rather than just go, he makes it really creepy awkward.
Yeah.
It seems he's waiting for a kiss.
He's waiting for something.
He is waiting for something. I think it is. He's falling for her.
Yeah.
He loves her.
But he's just upset her. Read the room.
What are you doing here, Sam? Get out. Just walk out. Say, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. But he hovers.
Yeah, eventually she almost has to physically push him out the door.
Just stop this, please.
Yeah.
It's embarrassing.
He heads obviously back to his own apartment, I think, at this point.
Yeah, I thought at first it was a studio, but I think it's maybe a studio apartment that he uses as a studio.
I don't know how far away it is. He seems to be there almost instantly.
How did he know where he was going? Who's telling him where he lives?
Oh, he's maybe got a wallet with his ID and address.
Possibly, yeah.
It's realistic, I suppose.
Be good to find out these things, however.
Maybe Al told him. But it's unlikely because they start talking here as if they haven't spoken before.
Yeah, he's now home and he meets Al for the first time. What's he doing?
He's looking, I think it's Edie, isn't it?
No, it's Cheryl Teague.
Is it Cheryl Teague?
Yeah.
There's a big picture on the wall.
Yeah, he's perving this photo of the model. And Sam tells him he thinks he's there to do a photo shoot.
Yeah, I wish it was for Playboy. Al. All right, Sam. I mean, a man's got to have his dreams. Let's see. Your name is Carl Granson.
I know that.
Yeah, and you're a very popular fashion photographer in New York City. You work for Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, Life. You shoot for all the biggies.
Yeah, well, they're going to want to shoot me after they see these photos.
Relax, Sam. High fashion, that stuff it's pure attitude. All you do is you act so important that you don't have to do anything, and you get your assistant to set everything up.
Well, maybe I should just let my assistant shoot it.
What, and pass up a chance of working with all the girls? Are you crazy?
Al, I can't believe I'm here to do a summer high fashion spread or whatever they call it.
Well, hey, maybe you're here to get Sports Illustrated to shoot the first swimsuit issue. Oh, that would be great. Nah, damn it. That happened in 1964, and here we are, June 15th, 1965.
Soon to be 66. If you don't start telling me.
Oh, okay. Have you met a model named Edie Lansdale?
I met an Edie.
Yeah, well, she works for a modeling agency run by a woman named Helen LeBaron.
A woman, yeah, right. A shark in nylons.
Well, she must be a hungry shark because apparently her agency is teetering on the brink of bankruptcy. Anyway, this Helen was a big model in her time.
Wait. Edie.
Edie?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh. In 3.5 days, Edie overdoses on a combination of pills and alcohol.
The next day, at a photo shoot, having heard this news, Al is now helping Sam because he has, or he had buddies who were photographers. I presume back in the 60s, I don't know, he doesn't specify.
Yeah. Sam still can't grasp the concept of discreetness.
No. Discretion? Is that the word you're
Discretion, yeah. Because he looks like a madman as he talks to Al.
Yeah, it doesn't get mentioned. There's been a few episodes now where folk have noticed him talking to himself and said nothing. Yeah.
I mean, I suppose you might be, in certain industries, businesses, you can get away with it. You know, if you're a creative, that's just what you do. You're
an
a
actor
bit
or something,
eccentric. But if you were doing this and you were meant to be an accountant, it would look really weird.
Yeah, both Helen and Byron see him, and he knows that they're anxious because he's been stalling the shoot for 3 hours. Why is he stalling if Al's, or maybe Al's only just shown up?
Yeah. Edie comes over and asks for his advice on some clothing, and Al is initially unimpressed when Sam tells her to go with the blue, as it makes her eyes look like periwinkles.
What's a periwinkle?
I think it's got a winkle. I think it's a shellfish.
That you get on a farm?
Don't know.
She said you had those on the farm.
Oh, right, did she?
Yeah.
I don't know then. I thought it was like winkles.
Yeah. Maybe getting them amongst pebbles and stuff.
Maybe, yeah.
Al, completely baffled, but Edie likes the compliment and says yes, she had those periwinkles on her farm.
Al tells him to keep an eye on her, but to remember that he's a photographer, and then gets distracted by a semi-clad model, as we heard at the top of the podcast.
We did, and then a little bit later, Sam has now got into this shoot. He's taking photographs and he's kind of building up for it. Al's telling him to use words like super and fabulous, which are also the words we'd like you to use when you review the podcast at iTunes.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, we have got a montage of Sam taking these pictures and getting really into. It's a bit like when he gets into his singing, you know?
Yes. Helen and Byron are looking a little bit less nervous, but as the shoot goes on, Edie becomes more and more uncomfortable, and Al has to force Sam to call for a break.
Yeah. Also, I can accept the line being in the shoot the previous day when it was outside in the park.
But he's still there.
They've got a line inside.
They probably hired him for a week.
Seems a bit...
Just to keep using him.
I mean, if that thing decides to go for it, if it's outside, that's fine. It might just run off. But it would cause absolute carnage if it just went for it and you're trapped in a room with a line.
Yeah. Preparing for the podcast, I actually read some of the reports of when Siegfried and Roy were attacked by their tiger.
Okay.
It's in a similar thing. There was like 2 yards to the audience, and you had to get in between the tiger and the audience, and you get bit in the neck.
That's what you get when you mess about with lions.
And tigers, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And bears. Oh my. Okay, where are we?
Edie is looking more and more uncomfortable, and after Sam calls for a break, Helen tries to make her take more pills.
Yeah, she tries to pressurise her by reminding her that they're taking clients out to dinner later on that night.
But Edie says that she'd promised her she wouldn't make her take them again, but Helen just laughs and says she had her fingers crossed.
Yeah. Sam hasn't witnessed this. I think he's doing something else with the camera. And the surprise when Helen reveals that he is also expected to attend the...
Yeah, and there's a weird exchange here where Sam says he can deal with this dinner so long as Edie's going to be there, and she says fiddle-dee-dee. What's that all about?
I don't know, it's an expression of...
As in,
stop. That sounds... Yeah, maybe a stop. Yes. Creepy guy. Yeah, I think Al says, don't worry about it to Sam. Yeah, because Helen says, you'll need to come along and you've got all your wonderful stories. The guy must be a bit of a raconteur.
Yeah.
Which panics Sam, but Al says, don't worry, I've got hundreds of them.
No doubt. You can imagine he would. Later on, Sam completes the shoot, telling Al that it's like painting with people.
Yeah, and he also, his big finale is to have, there's lots of caged birds, to have them released, and the models try
to crap over everybody.
Yeah.
He does get some shots, which we assume are brilliant.
Oh, I'm sure
because Helen and Byron look delighted.
Yeah.
At dinner, we see Sam retelling a story that Al's dictating to him.
Well, yeah, we join at the punchline provided by Al, which causes the clients to laugh along with Helen, Byron and Edie.
Yes, a put-upon looking waiter comes over to ask what they want for dessert, but Byron just asks for more champagne and Edie's not eating anyway.
No, so Sam points out that she should have something. She's not been eating that night and apparently earlier in the day as well, but this makes her snap. She doesn't like this being pointed out. She says she's not hungry. And an angry Helen hears this and leaves. She leaves the table as Al explains to Sam that amphetamines cause a lack of appetite and irritability. I thought Sam as a doctor would have known this.
You would think. He's maybe just not thinking about it.
Swiss cheese.
Yeah. Or just, different priorities.
Yeah. In any case, he suggests to Edie that they call it a night. But Byron, he doesn't see why. It's only midnight. There's still plenty of time. The night is still young.
Indeed. And the waiter returns to tell Sam that there's a phone call for him.
So he leaves and he goes to the kitchen. However, he finds that it was a ruse by Helen, who starts to get quite amorous.
Well, I think she's testing something here. She kisses him and he kind of backs away, which convinces her that he's leaving her for Edie.
Yes.
And she obviously had arranged to meet him the night before. He didn't show up and he didn't call. Obviously, Sam didn't know about this.
Yeah.
So he's having to cover his tail. Yeah. And there's a weird bit, though, because he says he was really tired and he crashed on the couch. And she says, you don't sleep on the couch. Why does he not just say, I was really tired?
Yeah.
That's how tired I was.
Exactly.
You can't just, oh yeah, I would never sleep on the couch. Dough ball.
Yeah. So again, he denies all this again, and
she asks him to prove that he's not
by going for it there and then,
by literally doing it in the kitchen in front of the staff.
Yeah. So she does a Sam.
Yes.
Really inappropriate behaviour. She tries to force herself on him. Just as Al appears, he quite likes it.
He said this is his favourite part of modelling, or it always was his favourite part of modelling.
But this second rejection seals it for her that he's a snake, and she then reveals that she has quite a nasty side.
Well, enjoy it while you can.
What do you mean by that?
She might be younger and prettier, but she won't be for long, no, not at the rate that she's going.
You know about her habit?
Oh, that's really quaint, Carl. I'm a concerned lover.
Drugs are nothing to laugh about.
Who's talking?
Careful, Sam. Carl Granson was known to pop a few pills himself.
Oh, great.
Look, I've given it up.
No, if you're giving up anything, it's going to be her.
Or what?
Or I will turn off the spigot, and we will see how young and pretty she is without her pills. Or maybe, just maybe she might accidentally take one too many one day.
Don't even think about it.
How melodramatic. Have you been practicing that in front of the mirror?
Kidding.
Well, neither am I.
He's such a square, isn't he, Sam? Drugs are nothing to laugh, but well, they are sometimes. Yeah. The giggles are brilliant, and I've heard. And
then he turns to violence.
Yeah,
almost on a dime. He physically harms Helen there.
He does, yeah.
It's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable, no.
Drugs are bad, but violence against women, fine.
Back at the table, they find Byron leading all the guests in a drunken song as Sam tells Edie they should be leaving.
Yeah, Helen tells him to leave her alone because she's over 18.
Yeah, but they all stop and stare at this point.
Yeah, it's all getting a bit awkward, isn't it?
Uh-huh. And she tries to sort of laugh off.
Yeah, Sam says she'll be looking over 80 if he doesn't get her to her bed soon.
And Edie gets up and leaves with Helen snarkily wishing him happy nightmares. So we're back to her apartment.
She seems to have cheered up a bit. She offers Sam a drink, but he says it's not a great idea.
And he also doesn't think that using pills is a great idea either, and he brings this up, he mentions it to her.
She denies all knowledge of pills.
At first, until Sam reveals that Helen has admitted what's going on.
Yeah, she says she wants to quit, but she wakes up tired and struggles to sleep, so she takes pills to sleep and then she takes pills to wake up.
A vicious cycle she's found herself in. She can't seem to break it.
At this point, Sam molests her from behind.
Well, Yeah, okay, so before we get to that, she tells him she can't, like, she wants to stop, but she can't afford to lose her job.
Yeah.
And she starts to break down. And at this point, yeah, Sam thinks it's appropriate to wrap his arms tightly around her, even though she clearly says no.
A vice-like grip.
Yeah. This isn't like a little arm round the shoulder or just a sort of, they're there type thing. He engulfs her.
Yeah, it's really, really awkward. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. This isn't.
Is this what his medical training told him was the way to deal with someone who's on drugs?
It's the type of thing that you do to your own child if they've hurt themselves and you really want to
Like protect them.
You're thinking, oh, come here, you. But you don't do it to
Adult.
who you're not in a relationship with and don't know anything about. It's just creepy behaviour.
It's really unacceptable behaviour. He tells Edie, while he's got her in this death grip, that Helen is not her friend and that she can't rely on her.
Yeah, he says that she only cares about the job, not her. She's not a mother figure.
Yeah. But Edie explains that without this job, she won't be able to help her dad or her sister.
Yeah, she pushes him away at this point. She's saying, get out of my personal space.
She looks quite upset, and no wonder. Sam tells her she can do it without the pills, but she says she can't. And he says he'll help her, but she has to want to.
Yeah.
So that's him getting consent in advance there for any behaviours that follow.
And we then see her starting to go cold turkey. It's not exactly train spotting, is it?
It's a bit different. Very slightly different. There's no babies crawling on the ceiling.
No. Or porn mags and cold soup.
People diving down toilets. That's just Edinburgh, isn't it? Edie wakes the next morning on the sofa while Sam is in the kitchen whistling away cooking breakfast. Yeah,
apparently he has got the doorman or somebody to get bacon.
Yeah, she must live in a fancier place than it seemed. She smiles and pets a cat, but returns to irritability when he tries to force her to eat.
Yeah, she still has no appetite. Instead, we see her struggle over time as she gets anxious, irritable, paranoid.
Did you see what Sam was reading when he was sitting on the sofa later?
No, what was it?
The Art of Staying Young.
Really? Is that a real book?
I didn't look into it. I assume it is.
Okay. And she's also struggling to regulate her temperature.
Yeah, she can't stay warm. She can't wear clothes that are too scratchy. She doesn't want a blanket. She doesn't want the heating on.
So he just lies back, continues to read and watch the TV, and later, when she comes back through to the living room, accuses him of talking to someone. This I thought was odd.
Yeah, because I assumed he was talking to Al.
Yes, that would be the obvious thing.
But apparently he wasn't.
No.
She's hallucinating, which is what Al says as he shows up, coincidentally, at that moment.
Yeah, so obviously her paranoia is increasing, and I think Sam does suspect that she can hear Al. So Al speaks again and he asks at this point, did you hear voices now? She says no. Right, okay.
Yeah. So Al tells Sam at this point that Ziggy's done some digging on Helen.
Yes, she had a previous model on her books who left after an overdose, and Al is sure therefore that she is the one supplying Edie.
Yeah, so he goes off to get the exact time of Edie's overdose while she continues to complain about the cold.
And then later that night, as we see Sam sleeping on the couch, she creeps in and hunts around for a stash of pills, which she finds in a cupboard, but she makes such a racket.
Well, she starts off quiet, and then the more desperate she gets, the louder she gets, and she finally finds these, I presume, sleeping pills in a jar in the cupboard, and Sam comes over and assaults her.
Yes, he throws her around, he pins her down, and he takes them from her, but it's really quite...
Does he take them? I didn't even work out what happened to the pills.
Yeah, maybe not, but there's no need for any of this at all. He could easily have just taken her wrist, removed the pills from her hand and walked away. But instead he's went through this whole sort of... Well, I think he's done this deliberately because he wants to get close and physical with her.
At some point during the fight, she kisses him, which he pulls away from now.
Well, yeah, they're on the floor at this point. He's on top, I think, of her, pinning her, his full weight of his body on her.
Yeah.
And she kisses him.
I suppose it's maybe a desperate sort of thing where she can't get away, and so she thinks maybe if I do what he wants, he'll leave me alone. Maybe, yeah. It's like, I'm just going to, if I don't do this, I'll make it easier for myself. He's going to do it anyway. So if I... Yeah. But it turns out he's not. He gets paranoid and freaked out when she tries that. She doesn't, she doesn't take this well, him stopping and she taunts him. Questions his ability or desire, I suppose. I suggest that maybe he doesn't like girls, which is the one thing that sets him off. He's like, don't call me gay! And rather than let us lie, he carries her to the bedroom. I mean, he's topless at this point. Yeah, he carries her down on the bed. Yeah, and is about to take advantage of a woman withdrawing from addiction. Yes, when suddenly his conscience pricks.
He certainly is. But before he does that, he kisses her.
He does, but then...
So it's a sexual assault anyway.
Already. He does, however, have second thoughts at this point and backs out.
Yeah.
I suppose a charitable argument is he never intended to do anything. He was just putting her through in her room to show that he did like her, but...
No, he kissed her. No, it was when she questioned his manliness, I suppose.
He had to show how manly he was.
Yeah.
Anyhow, he says to get to sleep, and I have no idea where the pills ended up. Probably the cats ate them.
Next morning, in the kitchen, she joins Sam. She's now freshly showered and seemingly has beaten her addiction. That was easy.
Yeah, but she's lost a day.
She has, yeah. She is shocked to discover that it is not Sunday but Monday and she has a shoot to do.
At the shoot, she proved that she no longer takes drugs by asking for a coffee.
Yeah, they're back on the farm set with the line. So yeah, she's now got a caffeine addiction. And she's quite demanding. She's quite snappy now.
Yeah, but...
I want coffee with sugar.
Al also has a problem with this. And we've seen this before from Al.
Yeah, an extremely passionate Al. What does he want?
His environmentalism takes precedence here, and he says... You can get a coffee, but get it in a paper cup and not a styrofoam.
I mean, of all the things that, you can't...
What are the chances of there being a choice of cups?
Exactly, and also, this is back in the past.
It's already happened.
He's not happy, yeah, he can't change it all.
Maybe he thinks Sam's leaping through time to save the planet.
Yeah. But Sam is rightly more concerned that Edie is starting to look a bit tired. And at the same time, we see the buyers of the shoot, the guys from the couple of nights ago, ask Helen about Edie as they don't think she looks okay.
Yeah, she really doesn't hide it well when she's tired.
No.
Her behaviour changes and she does kind of dim.
Yeah.
And
I think they mentioned that they're considering swapping to the Eileen Ford agency instead.
That's obviously a concern for Helen, but she insists that Edie will be fine.
She does, and tries to ensure this by going over to have a word.
Now, I know that you think I'm doing this out of spite over Carl, but right now I'm telling you the truth. As one professional to another, you look like crap. Now I need you to get out there and pull yourself together.
I just need some new makeup.
I am not going to let you take everything that I have worked for down the drain. Take these.
Helen, no. Carl, could I have some more coffee, please?
Yeah, come on.
Okay, fine. Forget about your job. Forget about helping your father and your sister. Forget about me. Just throw it all away. Be selfish. Think only about Edie. Nobody else matters. We're just nothing.
Helen, I can't take those pills. I can't. I just need some coffee and I'll be fine. Carl, where's the coffee?
One coffee coming up.
Just remember 2 words. Cheryl Teagues.
Hey, 2 sugars.
At this point, Helen puts the pills in the coffee without anyone noticing, and Sam's a bit naive about this. He knows that she's supplying drugs. He knows that she's meant to overdose at some point soon, but he doesn't pay any attention to what's going on because Edie's only on the coffee now. She's off the drugs. He's done his job. He's not leaped, but he's done his job.
Yeah. A little bit later, the scene is set. Edie is on a rock and some water beside the line, and things seem to be going okay. She's obviously perked up now.
Well, she's perked up a bit too much because she starts spraying the champagne, which stings like crazy into the face of the line. If you ever watch baseball teams that win tournaments, they all wear goggles when they're spraying champagne because it stings your eyes.
Right.
And she decides a great idea to spray it in this lion's face.
And continues by splashing water into its face, which is encouraged by Helen.
Yes, the lion then says, no, I'm not having it. I'm going to kill some people.
Yeah, inevitably it ends with her being chased by the beast after it attacks, I think it's Handler maybe?
It's Handler first, yeah, and then it goes after Edie. Sam runs after her. I don't know what he's planning to do.
I quite like this, but in terms of the stunt, so you can see the lion actually pounces on this stunt woman, I'd imagine.
You'd hope so.
Yeah, but I don't know, but the lion just pounced and move off if it was annoyed, but not attack straight away, because she's lucky. She manages to get away.
Yeah, she does manage to make a bit of distance, but then it jumps up on the table she's hiding behind just as Sam gets there. Yeah,
we see Sam running. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but he's got an odd run, Sam. It's one of those ones, he flops from side to side.
Right.
So rather than just running like this, he does that sort of thing where he runs like that.
Yeah.
And it's just a crap run.
Just as he arrives, she collapses.
Yeah. Now, we should say that Al has arrived earlier. Now, this is the thing that annoyed me. we know that animals can see Al.
But the lion still puts his head through him.
Yeah, but Al should be able to distract the lion. Over here.
Yeah, he doesn't even try.
No.
No.
Why not?
Because they haven't thought about that plot point. That's well noted. That's a good point. Anyway, Edie's collapsed on the ground, having had that one handful of pills and a coffee. I think, and she drank some champagne.
Right.
I think that's obviously caused it.
Doesn't mix well.
It's a fatal cocktail.
So Sam's arrived on the scene. He takes a chair.
He's got his ringmaster. He's going. He put the chair out and fends off the line. And Al's like, "How did you learn to do that?" I shook a chair at him.
So he picked up something and he put it in his face. Yeah. Anyway, this seems to, it buys him enough time until the handler arrives and chains him up and takes the line away. But
unfortunately, Edie's dead.
Well, she's not a bad way, a precarious situation. So the others from the crew and Helen and all that, they all run to the scene now as well. It's safe.
Rather than helping Edie, Sam decides to give a monologue to Helen about how it's murder and she's to blame.
Yep, and he's going to make sure that she'll rue the day, and he
brings up Yvonne Moncrief. That's the previous model that overdosed, and gets Helen to admit that she gave her black beauties and doors and fours.
This reminded me of the Columbo episode.
Yes, the Black Mass in San Francisco.
All that sort of garbage.
Al explains to Sam that some of those are uppers and some of them are downers.
Yeah. Again, Sam should know what to do here as a medical genius.
Make her puke or something.
Yeah.
But apparently all he has to do is make her walk around.
Get her up, and firstly he sends everyone away, somebody to get an ambulance, and tells the rest of them to beat it. He then lifts her up.
And it turns out she's from his neck of the woods.
Yep, so he talks to her, asks her questions about the farm and her dreams and her goals. He basically keeps her conscious as he parades her around, and at the same time Al is looking at Ziggy and watching the percentage
it's
chance.
Like a download percentage going up slowly.
Yeah.
At one point she asks who Al is. Sam must have talked to him while they were there, and he says it's his dog on the farm,
which annoys Al.
Yes, but he's salved by the fact that Sam says it's a great dog and the best friend that a man can have.
Yeah.
At that point she hits 50%, which is enough for Al to say, yeah, that's fine, 50-50, we'll take that.
It's not a guarantee. She's buying the worst of it.
Yeah, she's getting better now. Anyway, some time passes, not very much time, but some time, and Helen is talking to Frank and Irv, the big mogul investor guys.
Yeah, well, we see Edie being loaded into the ambulance and taken away, and the despicable Helen, yes, she's pretending she cares, saying, "Oh, you'll be fine, sweetie, don't worry about it." As soon as she's off, she says to these moguls,
"I've got better models than her."
She's hopeless, come on. But she gets her an immediate comeuppance here.
Yeah, well, not only do they not want to talk to her, but neither do the other models, nor even Byron.
They all wash their hands off her and leave her standing there. She's a breakdown. I don't need anyone. I can rebuild myself. And
shaking her fists at the clouds.
Yeah.
She created Edie and she can do it again.
Everyone just shaking their head and walking away.
Yeah. We then jump to Sam's apartment.
Yeah, where we see Edie arrive to say her goodbyes and thank him for what he did and apologise for her behaviour.
He says what are photographers for if they can't help their favourite models?
And as she goes to leave, she asks about his cousin back home that he's mentioned before, and says that she'll look him up or try and bump into him, I think.
Yeah, she asks him why he didn't take advantage of her when he had the opportunity, and indicates that she kind of wanted him to.
Well, he says to her, "Should I have?" And she says, "I don't know."
Yeah, most guys would have.
I think,
I'd resign myself to it.
I would have expected you to. It's not the right thing, but yeah.
They have a kiss there, and then he literally slams the door in her face.
He does,
She's about an inch away from the door, and he just shuts it right on her.
Well, I think before she leaves, but she asks what the name of the cousin is.
He says Sam Beckett.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but then he'll now get a core memory of having met her and not knowing what she's talking about.
Yeah, space-time continuum.
A cousin called Carl? Anyhow, Al shows up to tell him that everything works out fine, but he says he already knows that because she's going home.
And I think it's because he can relate to that. It's his dream as well. And if he could get home, for him, everything would be fine. Yes.
He then leaps into some sort of gothic setup with a large book in his hand and a candle that says Witchcraft in America. And he thinks he's in 1879.
Well, he doesn't understand. What I've noticed here is he obviously doesn't understand how books work.
Yes. The book says it was published in 1879. So he assumes it must be 1879.
What if he picked up Shakespeare or the Bible? I'm a
zero.
Moron.
The candle blows out, and I think we hear another cat squeal as we get a creepy old boy.
Yeah.
And the episode ends. I have some questions.
Go for it.
Okay, I don't fully understand the way that Edie was done in this episode. So initially she's refusing these pills that Helen's trying to give her on the set.
No, I mean, when we see it, yeah, but initially we know that she had been taking them before.
Yes, but by the time the episode begins, she's saying to Helen, no, I don't want them, don't give me them. But when we get to her house, she tells Sam, oh no, I'm taking them all the time.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but she did say she flushed them a couple of days earlier.
I think
so. Is the idea that she had stopped 2 days earlier, and since then Helen's been trying to give her more?
Yeah, I mean, in fairness, it's one of these things that you want people who are addicted at certain times when they're not desperate, they're happy to try and give up. So it's like, no, I'm coming off it. I'm stopping this until obviously it kicks back in and you're desperate for it again. So,
what did Sam actually do to help her? She's still overdosed. And all he really did was walk her around the field a little
well,
bit.
It stopped her from dying, I think.
Did he stop her? Did she just not happen to die?
No, I think they're walking it about. Perhaps if he wasn't there, they would have waited for the ambulance to arrive and she might have died just on the ground. Or, sorry, that wasn't, she died of an overdose. She wasn't eaten by
a lion, no.
A lion, no.
I think Sam created the lion situation, probably.
Well, I think here's the thing, yeah, he did, but the lion being there would have prevented anyone assisting. So by him doing his thing, the lion, that meant...
I'm just not convinced that walking around the field is the cure to an overdose.
No, I think it's keeping them conscious. I think if you didn't do it, you would just lapse into unconsciousness. Yeah, I think depending on obviously the level of the drugs in the system, that you can keep someone alive enough that they don't. Yeah.
My last note is that Sam's meandering morals strike again, but on the plus side, he did at least kind of adopt a photographer's personality, at least during the shoots.
Yeah.
And maybe that guy was a wife beater and he's just tried to fit in.
Maybe, yeah.
But it was some terrible behaviour.
Shocking, yeah. Just on that, he was offered it on a plate by Helen.
Yeah.
If you're desperate, just do that then. But no, it has to be someone who's vulnerable.
Well, it's always someone vulnerable that he can feel that he's in control.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's not going to go along with Helen when he's like, no.
Don't get much more vulnerable in an addict withdrawing and being partially conscious.
And he's forced her to withdraw as well.
Yeah.
So he's created the situation where she is vulnerable.
And and I'll look after you. I've just planked myself here.
Yeah, me who you barely know, I'm going to sleep on your sofa until you're off the drugs.
He's a horrible guy sometimes.
Okay, this originally aired on the 19th of October, 1990. Directed by Michael Zinberg, 6th of 9 for him. First one was Peoria. Chris Rupenthal wrote it, 4th of 10 for him. Also, his first one was Peoria. So listen to that podcast to hear about those two guys. Helen was played by Susan Anton. This was her only Quantum Leap, but after winning Miss California 1969 and getting a Golden Globe nomination for Golden Girl in 1979, she appeared on shows including Presenting Susan Anton, Murder, She Wrote, and Baywatch. And in the 70s, she was known as the Muriel Cigar Girl after a successful campaign of adverts.
Yeah, I know her. I think I first saw her, obviously in Murder, She Wrote, but Cannonball Run 2.
Okay.
A hottie back in the day.
She's kind of a Farrah Fawcett type.
Yeah. The Farrah Fawcett.
Platinum blonde.
But she's a sort of the Farrah Fawcett B.
Okay.
Sort of poor man. She didn't.
Man's Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, she never got she never got that level of fame.
Right. She's 72 now, but she's still performing. Edie was played by Marjorie Monaghan. This was her only Quantum Leap, but she went on to appear on shows like Murder, She Wrote, Star Trek Voyager, and Babylon 5. I think one of her key credentials was she was quite tall.
Oh, you would have to be a
6
model.
feet tall, yeah. She's going to turn 59 in the next week or so after this comes out.
There you go.
And her last screen credit was 2005, so I presume she's no longer working in
I think she's
films
married
and
to
TV.
someone, a producer who's done a lot of things.
Right. Byron was played by Christopher Tabori. Christopher spelled with a K and 2 Fs.
Right. I immediately recognised him from a lot of Murder, She Wrote, but also the first time I saw him was in an episode of T.J. Hooker called Terror at the Academy, where he was a police cadet who turned out to be a baddie and was killing them all.
Yeah, he has been on shows. T.J. Hooker, as you say, 4 Murder, She Wrote, Twilight Zone. More recently, done a lot of voice work for video games, particularly Star Wars video games. He's won a Daytime Emmy. He's now 70 and he works mostly as a director, and he uses the pseudonym KT Donaldson.
There you go.
Mike, who was the sort of runner guy, he was played by David Scheinkopf, his only Quantum Leap, but he was recognisable as a child for a long-running milk commercial in the States.
Right.
He's also appeared on shows like Falcon Crest, Party of 5, Diagnosis Murder, He then went on to work in interior design. You can still find his interior design website if you want some work done. But he returned to the screen. He's now 52 and he's the narrator of the true crime show I Met My Murderer Online, which has been running for, I think, 2-3 years now.
Not seen it.
Frank, one of the old guys who was paying for the shoot, played by Robert Trumbull. His Only Quantum Leap also appeared in things like Spin City, Law and Order, and 1 Columbo. He was DA, I don't know if he was the DA or just called DA in Columbo and the Murder of a Rock Star.
Yeah, he'd been the district attorney.
Yeah.
Not David Attenborough.
No. He died in 2006 when he was 68. The other one, Irv, was played by John Acorn, Achorn. This was his Only Quantum Leap. He was also in things like Beverly Hills Cop, Golden Girls, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, amongst other things. He's now 76, but he hasn't appeared on screen since 2017. Title of the episode is a reference to One Toke Over the Line, a song by Brewer and Shipley from the 70s. Doesn't make any sense.
No.
Nobody's toking.
No. That's just a crap
Drugs are drugs.
Yeah.
Drugs. Oh, let's get a song about drugs and we can... Oh. The pond that we saw for the photo shoot is used in Star Trek Deep Space Nine for people to fish. Right. Previously in Little House on the Prairie. And now at the end of Little House on the Prairie, they blew up the village, but you can still see some of the buildings that survived if you look closely in this episode.
There you go.
At one point, Sam takes Edie's pulse with his thumb, which you would know not to do as a doctor, because your own pulse is in your thumb. Some of the episode was filmed at Disney in California. The movie that Sam's watching in Edie's apartment is a 1944 black and white flick called Double Indemnity.
Yeah, that's a well-known one, that.
Yeah.
Classic.
In terms of things we learned, so Al reinforced his environmentalist thing. Sam talked a little bit more about country fairs near Elk Ridge. Al knew some photographers in the 60s and hung around model shoots.
Yeah. Sam had 2 cats growing up that he loved. He gave us their names, but I couldn't be bothered taking them down.
No. Anything on this date for you?
Yeah, no, but before I do, I've only got the songs, the top singles, and I was thinking, because there are a number of weeks now, nothing's really happened, and I wonder if are they avoiding? They're avoiding dates because
people would be reacting to things that were happening.
Exactly. So you're not going to do it in the same day as unless it's intrinsic to the plot.
Yeah, like JFK coming up. Yeah,
precisely. So I'm thinking maybe they looked at it and went, right, what didn't really happen on these dates? Let's choose that. Yeah. So all I've got is in the US we've got I Can't Help Myself, Sugar Pie Honey Bunch by the Four Tops, and we had Elvis with Crying in the Chapel in the UK.
Okay, so I've stuck to a 3-day window after your previous complaints. On the day itself, Bob Dylan recorded Like a Rolling Stone, which went on to be regarded one of the best songs of all time. Day before, John Lennon released a book, A Spaniard in the Works, and in the US and Canada, the Beatles released Beatles 6, which their albums were different in North America from what they released over here, so just Beatles 6 just had a chronology of
like
them.
Led Zeppelin 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah.
And 2 days earlier, the Beatles were awarded their MBEs. We've talked about the Beatles MBEs for the last 6 weeks, I think. But this caused outrage amongst a number of existing MBEs, with dozens returning their medals.
Because these pop stars with their long hair.
Their long hair, their drugs. Other things happened in the month, but further away, and I'm going to stick to this 3-day window.
Good. What have we got next week?
We have The Boogeyman, where Sam has a Halloween to remember.
Sounds good.
We will see you in 1964.
Until then,
cheerio.
Bye-bye.